In January of 2020, we were called down to the rescue mission in Tacoma.
So I got a phone call from the mission.
It started as any other night.
We are a place for people who are experiencing homelessness and experiencing addiction and experiencing trauma in their life that's causing them to really have complete instability, to have a safe place to come. Whatever the barriers are that we can help people overcome to really move them forward in life is what we want to provide here. So here at the Rescue Mission, we deal with lots of people, lots of different situations, and we're used to having people in crisis that are coming to us in a lot of need.
I was coming out of my office and I actually ran into this young man, and he just gave me a hug and he told me I have schizoaffective disorder. And then we had a brief conversation and I redirected him to the shelter area.
So we were looking for outside sources to help him. And while he was here, we were feeding him and taking care of him, and he basically had a mental health snap.
From the corner of my eye, I saw somebody running.
And intentionally committed suicide by laying down in the street in front of the moving cars on South Tacoma Way.
I approached him. There was nothing I could have done. He was already gone. Traffic was backed up both sides. John and I directed traffic, got a blanket from our van, covered his body.
Have volunteers from the mission and families and children from the mission that were leaving that saw this incident happen. We had guests who were lining up for dinner that saw this happen. We had staff that were here, because it was right at the end of the day, that were in the parking lot. And we had all these people that were suddenly dealing with such deep emotion and such a range of emotion. Called a friend who has a pastoral role, and I said, hey, I need help, what do I do? And he said, have you tried calling Pierce County Chaplaincy?
We got a phone call from leadership down at the rescue mission saying this had just taken place. We're kind of overwhelmed, can you come help? So we said absolutely.
And we started trying to figure out how we were gonna deal with the situation. We had staff members that were involved and actually saw this happen. We had volunteers, we had clients, so there was a lot going on at the same time.
Ben showed up, and then some of the chaplains showed up, and they just joined in. That team came together, and we had someone who was able to go up and talk to the guests who were upset and hurt, and talk to some of our volunteers and our staff, and really helped me break down the team, and spent the whole night basically listening to people, helping assess the problems and the emotions that people were feeling, and walk through dealing with the trauma and helping us handle it.
Ben immediately just put himself at the services of what we needed, and given that we already had one mental health counseling working with our guys in program, Ben just jumped right in to work with our guys at the shelter.
After meeting with Duke and Luis, we decided that there were certain groups of people who were closest to the incident, and they were the ones who, in their estimation, needed help most urgently. So we met with those people one-on-one and just started talking with them and assessing where they were at with the situation.
My supervisor, my boss, everybody was reaching out to me, and they were telling me, when you get back, you gotta come check in. After the incident, Ben, he remained in contact with me. I reached out to him, he reached out to me. We agreed to have some coffee. And I was still, unsure of what to do or anything. And he gave me some really good first steps. He shared a lot of stories with me.
A big part of this for me was I did not know what chaplains did, or that we even had the Tacoma Pierce County Chaplaincy. But through this experience, I realized how invaluable it was to have people that were there to be chaplains, not only with the first responders that came, with the police and fire, but for the people that were really impacted. My staff person who was 6 feet away from the person when this accident happened, to follow up with them over the next several months on a regular basis. How are you doing? How can we help? Here's things to look out for. Here's signs of as you go through dealing with this, here's emotional things you need to watch out for. And also helping me as the director to say, here's ways to help coach your staff. and here's things to talk about and look for.
How helpful it was for somebody else to actually come to us and ask us, okay guys, so how are you guys doing? How are you feeling? How do you need to process this?
So what we do as chaplains is we try to, again, help people identify the resources that are available to them and start taking those steps as soon as possible. We know that that's such an important key to recovery. So we as chaplains are that immediate resource for individuals in the community who have been through a traumatic event. And then we also connect people to long-term resources that exist. As chaplains, we do what we do because we are compelled by our faith. We are not paid staff members in the department. We volunteer our services to the fire and police departments that we serve across the county. But we go and do what we do because it's a way to put our faith in action.